Good news with the conference. It's our 43rd conference and the 15th one that we're going to be having at Sun City. We're already up to some 1,100 delegates that are registered. We think we'll break the number of 1,200 from last year. We have 23 countries already signed up to attend and nearly 400 different companies. The milestone for us is our 50th anniversary this year, which happens in fact in October. The IISA was reconstituted in Bloemfontein in October 1966. So whilst we're not going to make a huge fuss about our 50th anniversary, there is coverage happening in the media and various insurance media. We will be talking a bit about it at the conference. And all we're doing is celebrating the road that the IISA has followed, but particularly looking at our 2020 vision going forward. We've just had a very detailed strat session at the IISA with our board and some of our senior managers, and we've put together a strategic plan through to 2020, which will be launched to the market either just at the conference or shortly thereafter, about our plans on the way forward. So yes, it's a milestone. The history of the Institute, however, goes back to 1898 when it started in Cape Town as the Insurance Institute of South Africa, and that eventually morphed into the Insurance Institute of the Cape of Good Hope. And it was in 1966 that all the local institutes that had been formed in the country got together in Bloemfontein and recreated what we are today, the IISA. I think the really good news about our registration with SACRA was that we are the only short-term insurance professional body, and the FPI on the life and investment side of the business. It's given us an enhanced professional status in the marketplace. I think that's meant a lot to the students who are studying for our designations, who complete qualifications at various colleges and then apply to us for their licentiate, associate or fellowship designation. It's enhanced the status of that in the marketplace, and it's at an internationally acceptable level, which is a key criteria for a lot of the students. And SACRA set some quite difficult requirements for anyone to be registered as a professional body, in terms of your structure, your financing, your codes of conduct, having a CPD program in place, and also meeting other criteria that we won't necessarily go into all the detail now. But we were one of the first 40 professional bodies registered in South Africa in November 2012. Yes, there's good progress being made there. I'm part of a committee at the FSB, representing the industry together with SAIA, FIA and other members, where we are working hard to achieve a program for CPD to be introduced to the whole market for phase accredited individuals. That rollout will probably commence, I would guess, early next year. But a lot of constructive work has been done. Our next meeting, in fact, at the FSB is on Monday. We've been having regular monthly meetings. A lot of work has had to go into it, but the great news has been that with the IISA introducing a CPD program in June of 2012, we've learnt a lot about CPD programs, and we're still learning. So we've been able to help the FSB, giving practical examples of some of the challenges and difficulties around setting up a CPD program, and how we think it would be most practical to roll it out to the market. I think it's an early stage development that could lead into a college. Our initial plan is to run courses on student subjects from UNISA and Millpark to enable those students to sit in a classroom environment with a lecturer and with colleagues, other students, to be able to discuss issues with a lecturer and not just learn by remote control type of thing, where with the distance learning of UNISA and Millpark and some of the other colleges that we support, the students have continually wanted that interchange with other students and a lecturer. And the great news is that our first course started, in fact, yesterday, and we have a whole stream of courses lined up now through till about October. And the take-up already has surprised us in terms of number of people wanting to book. And we're not only running those courses on subject matter for the students, we're also going to be running on topical issues that affect the industry. For example, we're going to have a workshop on the Sandton Highway Bridge collapse, where there was a lot of damage caused, a lot of disruption of traffic. There are a huge number of different liability issues surrounding that case, and whilst it's sub judice at the moment, we can't go into the detail. But once that case is finalized, we're going to use it as a case study in the workshop here to go through and just demonstrate all the potential impacts on insurance and potential insurance covers that could and should be in place for an event of that nature. And then we'll do things on particular major fires, hail damage issues, floods, and others to try and bring to the student practical examples of how the theory of insurance that they're learning actually works in practice, and how you get this great response from the industry when there's a catastrophe, that a lot of money is paid back into the economy to get things up and running again and to fix problems and fortunately keep jobs going in many cases where a factory is burnt down and is out of action for many months. I don't think INSETA has achieved all the objectives. They did get quite widely focused, and a lot of the program at INSETA now is pulling those focus issues back into a lesser number of functions in the area of learning, studying and training and education. And I think the most unsettling part is the uncertainty about INSETA's future. The Minister of Education is dealing with the SETA thing. They've had their license extended to March 2018. And the jobs of the executives at INSETA have been secured until then, and we'll have to wait and see how that all pans out. We have been part of an industry response to the new SETA inquiries that have come from the Minister, together with SAIA and FIA and others, giving our views on what could and should be done and maybe how it should be looked at. But there's particular concern that the levies that are placed against the companies in the market and are paid into a fund that goes to INSETA to disperse based on good learnership programs, bursaries, other educational schemes. That money in the future, in terms of the directive from the Minister, once it all comes into play, will go into the National Skills Fund. And you will then have to apply for funding through SETAs. And if the jobs that you're applying for training on are not listed on the national list of scarce and critical skills, your chances of getting those funds back for this short-term industry are pretty remote, which means really that that's just going to become a tax on the industry. And that money could be spent on artisans, construction workers, and others, but it's come from the insurance industry. So there's a lot of debate around how that's going to pan out. And I think that you're going to see, if that happens, the emergence of even stronger training within the companies, insurance companies themselves, working hopefully with the likes of ourselves as a professional body to make sure that there are the right courses being put in place for people working in the insurance industry. And the funding is going to have to come again from industry on top of the tax that they're paying to the SETAs. So there's some challenging times ahead.